What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Jewish Catholic. For today's video, I have something that I want to turn into a series, but I don't know yet if I'm gonna be able to. But before we go ahead and dig into the video, if you're not yet part of the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because in this channel, we talk all things Torah, Halakha, Jewish thought, and more. If you end up enjoying this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, because it really does help the video and the channel. And of course, if you find that the video is share-worthy, make sure to share it with your friends and family. All right, let's go. All right, folks, today we're talking all about prayer, specifically my prayer routine or prayer regimen, as it's not exactly solidified. It's not the exact same every day or every week, but these are the things that I often use almost completely on a daily basis. Now, I am considering making this into an actual series in which I will dive a little bit deeper into each one of these topics, each one of these elements, but I don't know if I'm gonna actually have the time, so no promises. If I do end up making that series, I will link it up here. So if something popped up, a little note card, that's what it is. Go check those videos out. As for now, I just want to go ahead and share a little bit of what my day looks like from morning to night and what I do in regards to prayer. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I thank God for giving me another day of life. I haven't even gotten up from the bed. I haven't even really opened my eyes. I just become conscious, and that's the first thing that I do. After that, I will do the Shema. For those of you that don't know what the Shema is, it's basically the most important prayer in all of Judaism, and it signifies the oneness of God and His unity in Himself. Of course, I do have a video about this already when my channel was still called Messianic Me TV. So that one, again, I'm going to link it up here. Make sure to check that one out to get the history and a little bit of a deeper look into the Shema itself. If I don't wake up too late and I still have time before I go to work, one of the prayers that I would reach for is something that you might be able to see up there. Right here, my little prayer corner / office is where I have my crucifix, and I have two specific prayer cards that I really enjoy to use to guide me in my prayer. And a little shout out to one of my favorite Catholic artists, Baratus Catholic. He makes these cards right here, the art itself, but the cards I actually got from the Catholic woodworker. So another plug for that friend right there. For these cards that I have right here, one of them is called A Student's Prayer by Thomas Aquinas. Now, St. Thomas Aquinas is one of the people that I look up to the most. Not only is this man a super scholar, a doctor of the church, he's very wise, but also very Eucharistic and super passionate in the way that he describes God. The next prayer that I do is called My Morning Offering, which is this one right here. And as you can see in the back of the card, that's where you have the text itself. That's what you would read. So these are the prayer cards that I use right in the beginning. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about prayer cards a little bit later in the video, so hold on for that. But I just wanted to let you know that's how I start my day off. Now, when I go off to work, when I'm in the train, because I have a train ride that's like an hour and a half basically, when I'm in the train, I go ahead and I open my next tool. And I call this a tool because it's a guide basically for your prayer. And this one is called the Little Office of Baltimore. Before I dig into what this one is, I want to talk about where it comes from. So this little office or other little offices like the Little Office of the Blessed Virgin Mary are basically truncated versions of a bigger, larger set of prayers that you see in Catholic prayer life. This one is called the Divine Office, aka the Liturgy of the Hours. These are sets of prayers that are done throughout the day in several hour segments. Back in the olden days, that was split into 8 different times of prayers. Now some people do 7. Most people, lay folk, I'm talking about people just like you and me, if you're not a priest or someone who is part of a religious order, most people stick to just 2 prayers, the morning and evening prayers. But that's usually what lay folk do. When it comes to people like the religious, bishops, priests, and people of different orders, they will do all of the prayers that are done throughout the day. Now, that's a larger version of those prayers, the Divine Office or the Liturgy of the Hours, comes in a 4-book volume set. It's really cool, and I hope to get it one day. As of now, I wanted to just dip my toe first into this type of Catholic prayer. The reason why I dove into this one in specific, it's because of the fact that it is a truncated version, so it's smaller, and it's pretty easy to understand and to navigate. Again, I will be diving a little bit more into this one in another video, hopefully. But for now, I'll just give you a little run through of what it looks like. When you open it up, after you go through the table of contents and the introduction, you get to this part right here. The first section is the daily offices. Basically, these are the hours of the day. And it all begins with a couple of set prayers and blessings, and almost all of them are really dense in regards to Tehilim, Psalms. And that's really cool to me, because being somebody who loves learning about history and who loves studying the temple times, I know that in the times of the temple, when the Levi'im and the Kohanim were presenting sacrifices, the reading of the Psalms was something that accompanied the sacrifices of the animals in the temple. So in other words, this tradition of praying the Psalms doesn't begin with the Catholic Church. It goes all the way back even till the temple times. So the fact that I can take part of it means that I'm able to partake in a really rich history of prayers that have been time tested and prove very effective. Aside from the regular daily prayers, there are different sections called the collects, the daily collects, or the vespers of the seasons, which are basically prayers that are done throughout each season of the year. And that section is this one right here, the propers of the seasons. So again, this goes depending on what part of the year you're on. You want to make sure that you check on a calendar. And this is why I can't dig into it into this video, because to understand that, you need to learn that there is such a thing as a liturgical year in the church. It's not just random things. It's something that if you coming in from a Jewish background, you're going to be used to it, because you know that even in Judaism, we have specific prayers for specific seasons. So very similar to that, we have this in the Catholic Church. If you're coming in from a Protestant background, to my knowledge, there's not really many that have any structure like this. At least where I'm from, when I was participating in Pentecostal Christianity, there was no set prayer of anything. And really the only prayer that was repeated, if you will, was the Our Father. But that was done even just randomly. It wasn't specifically a prayer that we would all do communally or something that you would do on a daily basis. Nothing like that. But again, if you're coming in from the Jewish side of things, or Messianic Jewish side, then you're probably going to be accustomed to this style of prayer, which goes by seasons, by days, by years, by feasts. The last section of the Little Office of Baltimore is a section that I really like. It's called the Psalms for Various Occasions. The reason why I like this is because it's very versatile. You can go to the table of contents, and there you can look to something that you want to pray about. Perhaps you want to pray for somebody that's sick. Maybe you want to pray for a superior. Maybe you are feeling remorseful because you did something sinful, and then you want to pray so that you can ask God for forgiveness. Maybe you don't know what words to say. You don't know what to pray to God in regards to that moment. So you're going to find something that comes straight from the Psalms that's going to help you right here. Okay, that took a little bit longer than I expected, but I really am excited for this book. And I hope that if you don't know about this book, that you go search it out. I did find a lot of good information from a site, a blog called romanroots.com. So go over there, and I think right now it's maybe like the second blog post down. So definitely recommend this. Now, as for me, usually when I read the Little Office of Baltimore, when I pray these prayers, again, I will do the morning prayers called the prime prayers. And then if I am coming in, depending on what time I'm going home, I might be reading something like the prayers called the non or the sext. Again, those are names for different hours of the day. And then when it's nighttime, before I go to sleep, I'm going to be reading the last set of prayers called the Compline. In addition to that, yes, I have more prayers. This is one that if you've been watching this channel for, the past couple of months, there's one prayer that you know that I have to tell you about. And that, my friends, is the Rosary. I cannot stress enough how amazing it has been to partake of this prayer. If you don't know about the Rosary, number one, I'm going to tell you what I used to believe. I used to think it was vain repetition. I used to think it was an idolatrous thing. because I literally didn't understand anything about Catholicism, and I also didn't know about what this was. But to sum it all up, the Rosary is basically reciting scripture while meditating on the birth, life, death, and resurrection of our Lord Yeshua. So it doesn't get better than that. Every day meditating on the life of the Messiah, and you are able to partake also on a rich history of prayer. Not only that, the fact that you are reciting scripture, it really ingrains it into your heart. And this is a tool that was provided by the Blessed Mother Medium. So you know it's coming in with power, and it's amazing. And I can't stress enough how beneficial it has been for me. And I think one day, again, when I dive more into these prayers, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a story of how this has actually really affected me in a real life sense. It's too long for it to be done in this video, so I won't dig onto that now, but I will do so perhaps, God willing, in another video. The next tool of prayer, and this could be in different times of the day. It could be in the morning prayers, in the night prayers, or during the mid hours of the day, is this. This right here is called a Siddur. Very similar to the Little Office of Baltimore. It's basically a book of prayers. This one in particular is a Messianic Siddur. The reason why I like it is because, well, there are several reasons why I like this one, but it has the English, the Hebrew, and the transliterated Hebrew, which basically just means the phonetic way in which you would pronounce that Hebrew word. It's written in our regular English alphabet. Aside from that, it has prayers for Shabbat. It has Tehilim, all the Psalms are in here as well. And it has the prayers for the different feasts, the 7 feasts of the Lord. And I believe it also has Hanukkah in here. I'm not 100% sure, I'll have to check. But the biggest prayers that I use from this are going to be the Amidah. For those of you that don't know what the Amidah is basically a set of daily prayers, very similar to the daily prayers done in the Catholic world. These are a set of different blessings. There's technically 18 blessings, but 13 middle ones that can change depending on the season that you're in. This is a prayer that could be done communally, so you could be doing it with friends, you could do it with your family, you could do it at synagogue, or it's a type of prayer that you can do by yourself. When I do this, I live in Tokyo. Of course, I don't have anybody else with me that can do it, so I do it by myself. Sometimes I actually will pray some of these prayers with my family as well. But yes, a Siddur is a very, very good way to be able to again partake of ancient prayers. And if you haven't caught on to a little theme that's been going around here, is the fact that all of these prayers are ancient prayers. They're time tested. Every single one of these prayers that I'm sharing right now has a lot of history behind it. And I think it's great that when you partake in these type of prayers, it's not just you by yourself. And while it is great, and I'm not going to neglect this fact, obviously, you should be coming up with your own prayers, prayers that come from your heart, prayers that are honest to you and your situation. Yes, but there are times where we don't have the words, or there are times where you just want to partake into the history of prayer. It's like imagine a river of prayers that has been going down through history. And when you pray these ancient prayers, you are flowing along with this amazing river of prayer. Next to that, and very similar to it, are these other books that I have here. This is called the Shulchan Shabbat, or in English, the Sabbath table. This is another Siddur, but this is more specific to Shabbat and to the feasts, because the feasts are basically other Shabbaton. This is the one that I will primarily use in Shabbat. So many of you know that my family and I, we still observe Shabbat to the best of our ability. We use it as a day of rest, as a time to be with family, a day of prayer, day of study. And we make it special because we appreciate the history of it, and we believe that it's an amazing blessing from God. Now, this is the one that I will primarily use. This one is English and Hebrew, written in Hebrew. And this is the one that my wife would sometimes use, which is the English and the transliterated Hebrew. I love the layout of this book. It's very beautiful, very easy to navigate, and is a set that I would recommend. Next, and something that I already mentioned previously, are prayer cards. Now, all of my prayer cards are coming in from the art from Baratus Catholic, so it might be coming directly from his Etsy store, or they may be coming from the Catholic woodworker, who is, by the way, the same guy that made my rosary. I love these. I just can't get enough of them. Literally amazing. I used to think when I was a child and I saw people handing out prayer cards, I thought that was just for old ladies. I kid you not, I thought that it was the silliest thing to have prayer cards. Like, why would you want these pieces of paper or card to pray? Like, just make your own prayer. Man, was I wrong. These things come in super handy. It's like having a Swiss Army knife with you. And the great thing about these is that they're very specific prayers for different things. Like this one right here is a prayer about the Sacred Heart of Yeshua. This one is called the Memorare, which is about the Virgin Miriam, Saint Joseph, Michael the Archangel, and again, there's just a ton of them. Why do I use these? Again, they're simple, they're short, they're to the point, and when you don't have words to pray, these are super handy. Now, I have one little extra bonus. This is not one that I do every day, and as a matter of fact, I haven't even dug really into this one too much yet, but it's a book that many of my Catholic friends recommended, so I had to get it. It's called The Deliverance Prayers. And in a simple sense, this is basically a set of different prayers that you can use for different reasons, whether it be you're praying for the sick, praying for protection for your home, protection for your family. There are many, many prayers in here that are compiled by Father Rippinger. And I hope I didn't butcher his name. But many of my Catholic friends love this book. It has great prayers. I've only skimmed through it, and I think I've prayed maybe 2 of them. But again, ancient prayers and useful prayers that have been used by the church for a long time. So I really, really appreciate that factor. All right, folks, those are the prayers that I use the most. Many of these, actually the majority of them, are prayers that I do on a very, very daily basis. Some of them are prayers that I'm going to be used depending on the season, depending on the time of day, depending on several factors, but in general, these are the prayers that I do on a daily basis. So again, I would wake up, I will thank God for the fact that I'm alive, I will do the Shema, then I'll pray with those first 2 prayers, my morning offering, the student prayer. When I'm on my way to work, I'm going to be doing the prime prayers in the little office of Baltimore. When I'm on my way home, I'm going to be doing either the Sext or the non. And then when I'm home, I'm going to be using my Siddur, and I'm going to be doing maybe the Amidah or several prayers from there. Then later, I'm going to be doing the Rosary, and then the night prayers, the Compline. It sounds like a lot, and a lot of people might be thinking, how do you find the time? Trust me, if I can make the time for this, you can too. I have to get up super early in the morning to go to work. My commute is like an hour and a half each way. Then when I get home, I'm tired. I barely have time with my family. I have a child and a pregnant wife. And then I have to get ready for the next day. So if I can squeeze time in for prayer, you can do it too. No excuses. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys just to motivate you to pray more. And I hope that you are indeed motivated to do so, because prayer is not an accessory for the life of a believer. This is essential. This is what keeps us going. This is what connects us to God. Prayer is communication with God, with our heavenly family, and this is how we do it. Prayer, prayer, prayer. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed week. Shalom.